Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. My name is Kesley Anderson, and you see around me all of these wonderful items from Sawgrass and great blanks that you can pick up at your local Michael store. So we're going to talk through a little bit about what sublimation is, how it works, how you can apply it as a small business owner or getting started in a business, or maybe you're ready to branch out from your small business. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I do have a presentation, so I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen here, and then we can just kind of walk through some information. All right, give me 1 second. Well, it takes me just a minute to get everything set up. All right. Okay. So this is the introduction to sublimation for small businesses with Sawgrass. And sorry about that's all scrambled there. What we're going to be working on today is sort of just understanding how it all works together. So why would you choose sublimation? Well, sublimation offers you a really wide range of versatility in the products you can use as far as the blanks go. You have, apparel, mugs, plates, so much more, keychains, ornaments, tiles, all kinds of things. I mean, really possibilities go out the window. There's so many choices that you can do. With sublimation, it does offer you a full color printing, so you can achieve really vibrant and full color designs with a sublimation printer and the sublimation process. Sublimation also offers you a big jump up in durability because of the sublimation process. The items that you sublimate on, those images and designs, they're not going to fade or wash away. You'll probably lose the item or outgrow the item before the design would go away. And it also offers you a really big jump in terms of your in terms of how to customize. It's very easy to customize something with a quick change. So the sublimation really gives you a quick and easy versatility over some of the other options that you may be using. Not to say that vinyl products are not great and durable. They certainly are. I find sublimation just kind of steps my creation up a couple notches, as well as the ease it is to use sublimation. So to get started with sublimation, you would get started with the Sawgrass SG500 printer, and it has the Sawgrass SG500 printer, sublimation inks, sublimation paper, and your heat source. So I say heat press, but there's a lot of different heat sources you can use depending on what you're making. So the Sawgrass SG500 is a ready-to-go printer. So when we're talking about that particular printer, it's ready to go. So that means that the printer, you don't have to change anything or dupe anything out. With the Sawgrass SG500 printer, it is set up to work with the Sawgrass sublimation ink. So when you have that printer and you set the ink in, you're ready to go. Now, it is a dedicated printer to sublimation, so it's not, you can't use this to print out your kids' homework or anything like that. You want to keep this printer dedicated to sublimation printing. Also, as part of the lineup in the Sawgrass, actually, I want to go back a little bit. Sorry, I jumped forward too too quickly. So with the sublimation process, let me jump back my screen there. With the sublimation process, how it works is you have a special printer that is dedicated with the sublimation ink. The sublimation ink is specific to that printer. So for Sawgrass, these inks have been specially formulated to give a consistent color output. They are designed to only work with the Sawgrass printers. So you have this a special printer that works with this special ink, the sublimation ink, and then it prints on sublimation paper. Now, sublimation paper varies from your regular home printer paper in that the ink is designed to sit on top of that paper without smearing. So the ink is printed onto the paper through your printer, and then you use a heat source to activate that ink. When the ink is activated by heat, it pushes itself into the pores of your blank. So you can't just use any type of blank substrate. For example, like 100% cotton shirt. The ink will not adhere to cotton. It has to be 100% polyester. So you want to have your shirt be 100% polyester. When that ink is heated up, the sublimation ink attaches itself to those polyester fibers and becomes one with the garment. So you don't feel it on the top. It really just soaks right into that garment. You can wash the garment. It won't wash out. You can put your mug in the dishwasher. You're not going to lose your color or anything like that. But what's really cool about the sublimation process is that you don't feel it. So when you work with your sublimation process, you don't feel it at all. Now, part of what Sawgrass offers you with the sublimation process is the MySas. So MySas is an online software designed specifically by Sawgrass to work in conjunction with the print utility. So what you do is you go into the MySas online, you create whatever it is you're making. So in this example, I have a mug on my screen. Sawgrass has a complete library of royalty-free images and backgrounds and fonts that you can use to create your project and then resell those projects. So this print here in the background, you can use that print and it's okay. You've got the permission of Sawgrass to resell that mug or tote bag or t-shirt, whatever you're creating with that background on it. And that includes the backgrounds, the images, the designs, and the fonts. So all that's included in there, they've done that heavy lifting for you so that you have the ability to focus on what you're creating and marketing what you're creating. Once you've done your creation, then you send it over to the print utility software. And this software is designed to give you the very best production quality, precise colors, and it matches the colors formation with your blank. So for example, if I were printing this to go on fabric, the color would be a little bit different. How much color is printed might be different than, say, if I were putting it on a ceramic mug. So it varies, and it might change depending on what you're putting it on. But all of that is all thought out through for us by Sawgrass. So it makes it so much easier to put it up there. Now, when you're choosing blanks for your market, if you're a small business, you want to think a little bit about your demographics. So who's going to purchase your products? Where are they going to purchase it? Are you going to a market? Are you going online? Are you selling it to friends? Is this just for you for fun? So think about the who, kind of the four: who, what, why, where, and when. I guess that's 5. But the who is know your demographics. So if you're selling it online, who are you selling your products online to? For example, are you going to sell and market to a specific niche like gamers? Are you selling to that demographic of gamers? Are you selling to more sports moms and dads? Are you selling more in a craft community? So what is your demographics? Then that's the who. And then part of the what is the price range that your demographic can afford? Like where do you feel like you can price your items that they can afford those items. So if you're going to, let's say you're doing a sporting event, and this is like a little bonus add-on for somebody going to watch their son or daughter play in a sports. You're associated with your high school, and they've let you set up a little booth. So what is the price range of your community? Where can people who are going to watch their son or daughter play would want to purchase, say, a mug with the school name on it or something like that? And then think about why they're purchasing it. Is it around the holidays? Is the purpose to gift it to somebody else? Is it for themselves to wear the team colors or be, I'm a senior mom, so I have a senior mom t-shirt with my senior mom's son or daughter on it. So what's the purpose of the purchase? And then the last thing to consider when you're choosing your blanks is the location. Where are you setting up your products? A lot of people don't like to take breakables to craft fairs in the spring, especially if you're in a windy area or something like that, and things can get knocked over easily. So if you're outdoors, will your displays get knocked over easily? Will things get broken? Or if you're indoors at a winter craft fair, maybe you'd have more breakable items versus non-breakable items. Think about your location in terms of, is the craft fair you're going to, is that in a seniors center? So you want to gear your products more to gifting and gift giving purposes and things like that, versus, again, the example of being at a school function where you have teen parents coming in to purchase things. So the location is always kind of filled into those blanks. Then once you've chosen the blanks that you want to work with, you need to have your heat source. So I have a few different ones that are available at Michael's. The Craft Express flat press is for t-shirts, tote bags, anything that you need to press that's going to be flat. Coasters, koozies, all those kinds of things can go into the flat press. And then you have the Cricut mug press if you're doing mugs. Now, the Cricut mug press is exclusive to Cricut mug sizes. So if you're going to be offering tumblers or glass or something like that, then you would want to scoot over to the Craft Express sublimation oven, which gives you more of a range of products that you can do that are three-dimensional and not flat. You can do mugs in the Craft Express, but you can't do, say, pens in the mug press. So I find that having the sublimation oven and the flat press gives me a really broad range of items I can do, because I can do mugs in the sublimation oven. Now, the sublimation oven is a convection oven, and it works just, same kind of concept. The air flows around your item and heats it up and will transfer your image onto your item. You can use a sublimation oven that's designed for cooking, but once you've used it for crafting, that needs to be your dedicated sublimation oven for crafting. Same with, like, if you're using, I've heard of people using like an air fryer in this instance. You want to keep that dedicated to your craft. Now, once you have designed your products in the my Sawgrass, you can then set up a store where people can purchase your products right from the Sawgrass store. This will allow a couple of things. One is you can offer customization. So this tote bag here with the name on it, you can have it so that you can customize that name and change out the name on that tote bag if you want to through the My Sawgrass. You can also change out images and things like, you really have a wide range of colors and everything that you can change. So that's something fun to play with. But the My Sawgrass, when you go into the store section of it to sell an item, it does give you the price. You can increase the price, but you can't decrease the price. And the reason is Sawgrass has done, again, they've done the work for you. So they've found the comfortable price for an item. Now, if you are adding your own image, your own artwork to that item, you might want to bump that price up a little bit. That's totally up to you. If your demographics can afford that higher price, you can absolutely bump that up higher. So what happens is that order comes to you through Sawgrass, and your job is to basically print it and ship it. So they do all the other work. Definitely something to look forward to and look through if you are selling online, but it's also a great way to give you a base price range and how to figure out your price. So let's talk a little bit about pricing. When you're looking at your prices, you have to calculate your costs. So how much did it cost for that blank that you purchased and everything else that goes into it? So there are certain things that you can't necessarily put a price on. So how much ink print might take versus another print, that you can kind of get an idea how much ink you'll use for 100 prints. But I usually base my costs, I calculate my costs on the supplies that I need and not supplies that I use over and over again. So for example, I have gloves that I use. I don't calculate the cost of those gloves into every item, but I do set the base price of the item based on the cost of purchasing the blank. So like if you're working with shirts and your shirts cost you $20 to purchase the shirt, that would be my beginning price, $20. So then you have to consider how much time you spent designing and making that shirt. Do your research on what are other people selling those items for at your local events as well as across the nation. How much do you want to make on that item? So what's your profit margin? If you are selling your shirt for $25 and you want to make 5%, you'd bump it up to $30. So know what your profit margin is and what's the perceived value of your item. If your item is at a market and you're selling basically the same thing everybody else is selling, then your pricing really has to be competitive. But if you are selling, again, at a school fair or something like that, and you're promoting your school items and you're the only one with your high school mugs, then your perceived value is a little bit higher. And I always say test it out. So when you're bringing in a new item into your market, you might give it a test dollar amount. And did it sell out? Did people look at it and put it down? Like how did that pricing match up? And then display your prices. So nobody wants to ask how much something is. They want to be able to say, oh, that mug is $10, that t-shirt is $12. Great, I have that in my budget to spend on those items. So this is sort of my formula for my cost. I add the materials plus the labor plus the overhead plus my profit will give me my price. So your materials are all the materials used to create one unit of your product. How much time did you spend times an hourly wage? That's your labor. What's your overhead cost? So that's the machines that you use as well as the other items that you use like the hands, the heat gloves that you use, sort of like what is your overhead cost divided by the number of items you're making. And then that equals your cost per unit. And this number you can kind of fluctuate depending on what you're making. This is more of a making that wild guess as to what that is, but with some parameters around it of what you invested to make that product. And then your profit is what you want your profit margin to be that reflects the value of your work and that covers your time and your effort and the unique quality you bring to the market. So when you add those up, that would give you a starting point for your price. If you're doing a market and in physical form, then you want to know before you go. And those things that you want to know before you go are the who, what, why, where. So who's going to be there? What's the price range that they're willing to spend? Why are they purchasing these items? And what's the location? So if you kind of get an idea why people are purchasing, like if you're in a fall market, people may not be ready to purchase for Christmas yet or holiday gifting items, but they're purchasing for home decor. So if you're going to a market in early October, you may sell more home decor items than giftable merchandise. So just kind of, those are some of the things that you need to know before you go. And then if you're doing your physical market, you can create your inventory. And we'll talk about this as we create some things, because you can actually, either if you have a generator or a power source, you can have a one-off and then create it at the show. Know your booth design and your layout so that you can really show off your products and let everybody know what you're making. You want to have your sales supplies. So, do you have a square? How are people purchasing? Do you need to print out a QR code so they can just scan that QR code and Venmo you? Or how are you going to wrap up ceramic items? How are you going to have bags? You have stickers, free bags, all that kind of stuff you need to think about ahead of time. Know your pricing, be confident in your pricing, and promote the market you're going to. So you want to tell everybody on your social media, hey, I'm going to this market. This is going to be great. And then you want to have your follow-up for the people who came to the market, maybe signed up for your mailing list or something like that. So today we're going to make drinkware. I'll show you the mug press, how we work with that. We are going to talk about t-shirts and totes. And then lastly, we will talk about add-on items. So we'll have all those different little add-on items to go over. Oops, let me stop share here. Awesome. And don't forget, guys, if you have questions as I'm talking, if you want to say like, hey, how do you do this? Or tell me more about that. Feel free to drop that into the Q&A, and I'll try and keep my eye on. Actually, let me pop that up so I can see if there are any questions come in as we're working along. So one of the things I want to talk about first before we get started in making is sort of show you the difference between what you can create with your vinyl and what you can create with using sublimation. So this is just like a family chart menu. You can either use as a menu chart, or you can say where the kids are in 1 week or something like that. Now it could be, you could have lots of layers of different color vinyl. So each day could be its own color or something like that. So this is just like a really simple family menu, family chart. I just used one color of vinyl on it. To make this, I had to you have to do the design time no matter what you're making, so that your time in the design is going to be the same whether you're cutting it out of vinyl or you're doing a sublimation print. But then I had to cut it. So I had to go through the cutting process, get the vinyl put down and everything. And then I had to weed it and line it up on the menu board and everything, and get it all set up like that. Now this is permanent vinyl, so this is going to stay. It's going to last. I'm not worried about it going away. But I want to show you the difference of what you can create side by side vinyl. Now, again, this could be multicolored, but then a sublimation weekly calendar. So on this one, it's just printed out, and it's an aluminum frame. So all I had to do was create the design, print it out, and heat press it on. And that process of printing and heat pressing this on probably takes 5 minutes. So if you're at a market, you may have this item up for sale, but you might want to say like, hey, I can customize this for you. So instead of saying this week, it could say this week at the Anderson household. And all you need to do is go into the Sawgrass software, into My Sawgrass, change out that heading, print it out, and press it. And your person goes home with a customized design. So this you might retail for $15. A customized design you might retail for $20. And the amount of work that you put into that customized design is a lot less than you might think. So keep that in mind as you're considering what you might want to sell. And Chanel, I just looked out my window. It looks like we're having a thunderstorm coming on. So if I drop off, I will connect back up. But just wanted to let you know. Okay, so let's talk about, gosh, I have so many fun things to show you guys. I'm not sure where to start. Let's talk about the creating in the software. So I'll share my screen. Let's make sure I have this popped up here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so let me share my screen again. I'll show you in the Sawgrass software exactly how to design an item. So I'm going to just start fresh. We'll go here and I'll discard those changes. So when you come into my Sawgrass, you would just choose design. Now, if I were sharing my link out to sell items, then I could see what I had sold and what I need to come in. So I have this 15-ounce ceramic mug, and if I just say that's the design I want to make, I can come in here. Now, in the software, you have the option of building it yourself. So you could use these elements over here and build it yourself, or you could go down to the designs and select a design that's already created. So you can just scroll through here and see all the different designs that are in here that are already created. Let's say if you wanted to do, something Halloweenish, you could. There's the summer designs, lots of different individual designs that you could use. So let's say we want to make a mug with "'Tis the Season" on it, and we're just going to click on that design and bring that in. Now we want to enlarge it so that it will fit onto the mug the whole way and keep it centered. So you see you've got that centered. Then once you have that on there, we're going to save and print this mug. So we're going to give it a name and say 15-ounce, "'Tis the Season." Now, I was having a little bit of trouble before the class started with my connecting. I don't know if I have, like, my connection is loopy. So I'm just going to give it a minute to save the design, and then I can print that design out. So while I'm waiting for that to work its way through, I'm going to go ahead because I do have one already printed. So I'll just go to my overhead over here and I'll show you how we can put that together. So we'll keep our eye on and make sure that that one prints out. Okay. So do you mind switching to my overhead? All right. Get that a little better focus for everybody. Okay, so I have I told you I had lots of things to show you. This is just a really fun design, real simple. And I have this glitter sublimation mug. It's in a 12-ounce mug. So all we're going to do is take off our label there. And then I put that there. And in what you want to do to get your blanks ready, you need to have some lint-free little cloths here, as well as I use alcohol. So I just put my cloth down and then I use my alcohol spray on my mug and just to kind of clean it off. Now, the reason you're cleaning it off is you want to make sure that there's no lint or anything on your design. So we want to make sure there's no lint or hair or anything like that. So you'll use that alcohol right on your mug, and we're just going to wipe that right down so it's nice and clean. There we go. And then I can just set that aside for my next one. So we'll put that right there. And then with your, when you have your design printed, we'll just take it over to our paper trimmer and trim down this excess paper here. So that's, now I want to make sure it's going to wrap around. I know this is bigger than my mug, but I want to make sure it's going to wrap around perfectly. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So we'll just trim this on down. Take off both sides there. If you're doing a design where, for example, you are going to be overlapping, so if you're doing a different tumbler type, let's say you're doing a tumbler like this one, and your design is going to go right to the edge, what I like to do is turn my design over, and I will take a piece of my tape And I'll put that right on that edge. So I'd put it right here on that edge so that when my designs overlapped, this pattern here would overlap onto there. That way it prevents the discoloration. You'll still have a seam, but you won't have an overlapping seam. That makes sense. Okay, but for your mug, you don't really have to worry about that because your mug has the handle. So we just need to put our design, so the leaves kind of go, this is a great pattern because it goes both ways. But I'm just going to center my design on my tumbler here. So we just want to make sure it lines up about even on either side. If I were making this for somebody else, I absolutely grab my my ruler and make sure I'm just doing it for myself. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. Now, I do like to turn my mugs upside down when I work with them so that my design is sharp on the top. Then I'm just going to take your tape. As you're getting started with sublimation, I always think the tape is your best friend. You can never have too much tape on your design. So I'll tape that one side there and get it nice and sharp. And then I'm going to pull on this side and really get it tight. And then again, I'm going to take just a long piece on each side. Uh-oh. Did you lose me?
We're stuttering a little bit, but you're back.
Okay, sorry about that. It really is pouring cats and dogs out there. So we're just going to take that long piece and put that along that edge there, and same on the other side here. So we'll just do the same thing here and put that on the other side there. Now you can also, you might want to wrap that paper around the bottom and tape that as well. So you can run your tape right around the bottom edge there and make sure that that is nice and tight on your design. You can also do sublimation sleeves where you put this in like a plastic sleeve and then heat it up. And that's always great to keep everything together. So we're just going to put that tape right on there. I like to put plenty of tape because if you don't, your design might not transfer completely. So the more tape, the better. You're never going to be sad you've put on so much tape. That's just kind of what I think. We're just going to tape this right on up on the bottom, and then we'll do the same thing on the top. The same thing up here. Okay, so the top is a little bit better because I didn't have that paper hanging over. So the top, again, you could just use your long tape and put that on like this. My tape dispenser, I did get that on Amazon. You can get your tape from Michael's, but I did get the dispenser on Amazon. And you want to use, I'm using special heat tape. So this tape is designed to go to withstand the heat. So you can't just use like masking tape. You need to have tape that is designed to withstand the heat. Okay, so once you have that all bundled up like that, got all my tape inside, it's really tight around all the edges, as tight as I can make it. Probably could do a little tighter, but we're gonna go with that. And I've got my design down here, all bundled in. Let's make sure our edges are just really tightened on there. Okay, all right, so that's really good like that. I'm pretty happy with how I've got everything taped along the handle and everything like that. Now, if we can go back to the front one, Chanel, I'm going to plug in my mug press and we'll get started with that. So all you have to do with your mug press, now again, you can put this in the convection oven behind me if you don't have a mug press. But if you're at a trade show and you're doing a lot of mugs, then you might want to just invest in the mug press. And fun little thing that you could do is have sublimation pens handy and let kids draw out their design. So have some paper that's the width of your mug, let kids draw out their design, and then and do the sublimation heat right on that design. And that's a really fun way that you can share with your crew. Let's see. So what's the special tape? I have some packaging here. It's heat resistant tape that you need to use. And for example, the Cricut has the strong grip heat resistant tape. I just got a big roll of it from from Amazon because I use it a lot. So that's the difference. There's not a difference between so I have these two different tapes here, my skinny tape and my blue tape. There's not a difference between the two tapes as far as they're both heat resistant tapes. One just happens to be skinny and the other one's bigger. This tape dispenser, as I roll the tape out, it comes up in little sections. So each time I just pick off a piece, it's just that little piece. So it does it in little pieces. The bigger one on the side here, I can pull it out and get as much as I want on that. So what you do with the sublimation pens is you draw on, I was looking to see if I had some over there. You can just draw on laser paper and then just transfer that. It does mirror, like I wouldn't do like a child's name, but if they were to draw a picture of their family, then you could sublimate that onto a t-shirt or a tote bag or anything like that. You could just sublimate that right onto there. I think I need this to beep as it heats up. It is getting hotter. I think I need it to beep when it's ready, and then we'll put that in there. So while that's working, let's talk a little bit about, since I do have the tote bag, although, can't do that yet. Let me see if let's see how my printer's coming along, if it's ready to print. 15-ounce. Just while this is heating up, I'll share my screen here. I love all the questions, so keep them coming, guys. So when I'm ready to do my mug, I have to say, if I'm selling the mug, I'll put in all this information. I can add hashtags. See, I can set the price. So Sawgrass recommends the price at $19.95, but I can go up a little bit more and increase my profit margin. So this is how much I would give to this seller share. I believe that goes to Sawgrass for running this and maintaining it and doing the shipping and all that. And then I would make $11 from this mug. So you can see from the mug, my profit is $11. Once I'm ready to, I just print, and I'm hoping it comes together. So that's a great question. Hopefully this will go over into the print utility, and we'll be ready to, I can show you how. So the question is, what is the best setting for the Sawgrass printer to make the images brighter? So let's see, it should go. Please go, please go. The print utility allows you to set your color settings if you want to, or it automatically will have those set up for you. So let me share that screen so you guys can see the difference there. Let me swap over. Okay. I'll stop sharing that one and let me share this one. So, okay, hold on. Let's stop share there. All right, let's get our mug put in. So when the mug goes into your press, you want to wrap it with some butcher paper. And the reason you do that is because you don't want the it's called like blowout. So I don't want my design to blow out on the back side of my mug and transfer onto my mug press. So I'm just going to wrap it in a piece of butcher paper. And I can cut this to the size. You can always cut it shorter, but we'll just wrap it right up in there. And I don't have to tape it. It's a nice big size. You could tape it around. And then when you put it in the printer, in the press, the important thing is to get the handle centered in the press. So when I slide it in, before I activate it, I want to slide it in like that, kind of hold it so that I can wiggle it if I need to, and then press it down. So that kind of stays in the middle there. And then it will automatically go through and heat up and do everything for me. Now, one thing I have to remember is to put on my gloves when I take it out and put it on a heat resistant pad. So let me share my screen again. So if I were, when I share, when I go into the print utility, so this is the leaves, it automatically will mirror or not mirror the image based on what you're choosing. So if I were to say this were going to go onto a ceramic drinkware, the color settings are already set for me for the ceramic drinkware. So I could go into the color management and I would choose vibrant to get a brighter print. Now, if I wanted to go even brighter, I could customize it and do, change my saturation or my hue. Those are really the only two that I ever change. And then you can apply those to the image if you wanted to do that. But as you can see, when I go to print, all of that information, so it automatically mirrors the image for me, and I'm ready to go. It tells me that I'm putting it on ceramic. Now, if I were putting this on, say, a glass cutting board, the image wouldn't mirror. It doesn't need to mirror. So let me see if I can pull up a recent design. Okay, so this was a recent design, and this was going on a polyester shirt. So the image is mirrored. When I put it on, say, a glass cutting board, it doesn't mirror it because you're putting it on the back side of the board and you see it through the glass. So you don't have to mirror it there. So it automatically changes that mirror based on the material that you select. And then you just can select if it's a photographic or if it's a vibrant print. So I would usually choose that vibrant print to print that. So, and I don't know why I'm not having problems connecting with my printer. I think possibly I just don't have my wires connected right or something, but fortunately I have a few things already printed that we can work with today. So you always will use, I call it the sublimation sandwich. So whenever you're sublimating, whether you're doing it in a heat press or the, not so much in the convection oven, but anything that's going to touch the blank and the sublimation print, you want to wrap that or protect it with a layer. And it's just butcher paper. Sometimes I just use copy paper and not worry about it. Like if I were doing little keychains or something, I would just sandwich this in a piece of copy paper. But it's called blowout paper because sometimes if your image goes outside the edge of your design, that extra ink can blow out onto the centerpiece of your mug press or onto your pad of your heat press. And then the next time you use a design, it could transfer onto that next design, which you don't want to have that happen. So that's why you would use that blowout paper. So I do have another design here that I printed out, pre-printed out, ready to go. Let me grab that. And I have a lot of, I pulled a lot of the different make market items, kind of to talk about some of the different things that you can make. So we'll kind of go over some of those other items. And can we just go back to the overhead and I'll show how to how we'll get two things set up at once. So when I can change my heaters, we'll swap over. So this is a cute little a little pencil holder, and I can just grab some of my Cricut cosmetic bags here. Everyone's thinking back to school. So I can just grab one of my cosmetic bags. Now, when you are doing fabric like this, you want to first heat it up. So you'll put it in your heat press for about 10 seconds to heat it up. When you're heating it up, you're removing the alcohol, not the alcohol, you're removing any moisture that is in your garment or your bag. The fabric can hold moisture, so you want to remove that moisture, and then you want to use a lint brush and just roll over your garment with the lint brush, and this will take out any extra lint that might be on your material. If you have lint or dog hair, pet hair, anything like that in your garment, that will prevent the ink from transferring onto that garment. So once I have that done, I would just come in and trim my design down. So maybe about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch on each side. We'll just trim it right down. And in the one other great thing about the Sawgrass print utility is you can add different layers of images into one image that you're printing. So I could have banked in little extra apples or polka dots or something in my bag. And then I can just line this up and we'll turn it over so it goes backwards. We'll line it up. Now I do like to have the zipper hang outside of the press. So let's go with a little bit bigger bag here, so that I can have that zipper outside the press. The zipper inside the press would kind of give an uneven pressure with this. So we want to have it outside. All right, now I just heard my mug press beep at me. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this over. We'll bring this over here. And let's see how this worked. Okay. There we go. This is always the fun part, is taking the design off. It comes out very, very hot. So I do not recommend having young kids help with this process. You want to make sure that it's an adult doing it, because it is really hot and it's so tempting to just get your fingers right on it and see how it came out. So just a little caution there. Also, when I'm removing the design, I want to make sure that I don't use a utensil that will scrape it. So I will sometimes grab my weeding tool. Oh, look how pretty is that. I will sometimes grab my weeding tool to help get the adhesive off, but I do want to kind of caution on that, because it can scratch your blank. Didn't that turn out beautiful? I love it. Now in the oven, you can get your design closer in. If you were putting this in the convection oven, you could get it closer in, but you can see where I have a really nice straight line here. And then this line is a little bit fuzzy. So in the press, this side obviously was on a little bit more. So just take that into consideration as you learn how to do it, and don't do it at a backwards angle. But there we go. That turned out I'm really happy with that. Now I have my other press heating up. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to leave this here for 1 second and pop this in and get that 10-second heat press on there. Just to, again, the heat press takes out any moisture. Good question. So do you have to remove the print right away, or can you wait for it to cool down? I like, so it depends. Um, some things, when you wait for it to cool down, the paper sort of adheres to the blank so that when you are, when you're taking it off, the paper can stick to your blank. So if you do it when it's hot right away, it comes off really clean and really smooth. If it sticks to the blank, you can just use soap and water and take it right off. So it's not, you know, it just adds an extra step of work. So I do prefer to just take it right off. And I mean, it doesn't take very long. Okay, so I've got my Linda, and I'm just gonna line this up in the center here. I did the little 10-second heat press. I'll just do a little lint roller over this. And then I'm gonna line that up, make sure I've got it in the center. Like this, and like this. And then using my butcher paper, I will create what I call my sublimation sandwich. So I'll take 2 sheets of butcher paper, and these are just pre-cut down for me. So I'll just take those and put one on the bottom and one on the top. So when you go to put it in the heat press, you want to make sure that you have a sublimation on the bottom, and you don't, like for this one, I wouldn't have to have it on the bottom because my design isn't hanging over the edge. Then I have my design, and then I have my extras butcher paper on top of that. And that will go in all in one piece. I will leave it so that this much of the little and as much of the zipper will be hanging out. So you can see that that design is pretty close to the top there, but we want to make sure that that's kind of hanging out like that. Okay, let's see. I've got just a little bit more to get that heated up. While that last piece is heating up, I want to show you one of the things I like to do is if I have a piece of design left over, like a little piece, I will take that. So I save it. You want to save them. And actually, let's do this. I'm going to save this one here. And we're going to take our tape and put the tape on the back right here. I'm going to go over. I'm going to trim this down to 1.5 inches so that we can use this design as a pen cover. But I'm going to put my tape down first because this will overlap just a little bit. So you kind of get the idea of that overlapping design. So you can do like a pen cover like this. And you just take it apart. You're gonna take all the plastic and metal parts out. So you just left with the little cylinder. And then we're gonna put a design on it like this. So yep, that's perfect. So I'm gonna trim it down to about 1.5 inches. And I put the tape there so that it will give me that covering. So when I overlap it, I'll overlap it right on there. So that's going to go down first. Before I do it, always clean it. So this is so tiny. I use these little wipes just to clean it, make sure there's no lint on there, anything, no fingerprints. So Kara, let's see. Can you use the Cricut heat press that uses hand pressure, or do you need a large press? I would, if you're just getting started, you can absolutely use your the easy press for sublimation. You don't have to have the clamshell press. If you are planning on making this a full-time business, then it's worth the investment in the auto press or a clamshell press. But if you're just getting started and you already have the easy press, then use what you have and say, okay, when I sell X number of shirts, I'm going to be able to upgrade and purchase the other instrument. So I would say use what you have with the intent, give yourself a goal, because it is much easier when you have the easy press, I mean the auto press or something like that. It really is much easier to use that, because I'll show you why when we get there. I've got to get up the heat. We've got just a little bit more to get that heat up there. and then we'll do that. So we just pop this right on here and we just roll it. And where it overlaps there, I have my tape. I'm just going to push that down there and then push that down there. So now you just want to really make sure that you're pulling it tight and it's really pressed on there. These come with sublimation sleeves, the little tubes that you put it in and heat them up. I must have set mine down somewhere because I could not for the life of me find them. So I have to do it without that. But I tested it out and it works just fine. So don't worry about that. If you don't have that, if you've lost it like me, you can still do it. But these are great little add-on items that you can sell at a craft fair. So I always think about selling small for big results. If you have something that you can sell for like $1.20 or $2 or $3, it's a lot easier for people to make the decision to make that purchase for, a $5 pen or whatever. Anything below $9 is my add-on price. So if somebody's buying, your tote bag, well, don't they want a cute little pencil, a custom pencil with the school's name on it to go with it, or the town or the zip code or anything like that? Don't they want that to go with it? So anytime you can do an add-on to your purchase, I think is a bonus. So this, once we get the oven done, this will, the press done, that will go into the convection oven. So let me swap over here and we'll go back to our front one. Let me see, replace spotlight. There we go. Okay, so I have my sublimation sandwich. I have my, this is by HTV Ront. I like it because it pulls out, my tray pulls out. I don't have anything that goes up or goes across like that. It just kind of pulls out nicely for me. And I like that. So I'm just going to put my design on there, and I will have my zipper. See how I've got my zipper kind of hanging out over the edge. And I have my design is on there. So we'll just put that right on there. And then we put it under, I've got it heated up to 400 degrees and it'll go in for 60 seconds. I did have the Cricut auto press, which I liked that quite a bit. It died on me. Sadly, it stopped working on me. So I did like the clamshell there of the auto press. It was really easy to use. You could send your temperatures with Bluetooth to it or get your temperatures with the Bluetooth app. So that was nice, the Cricut AutoPress. But since then I went to this one, and I like this style better than the arms that swing around, especially if you have kids in the area. I mean, you shouldn't do this around kids. I wouldn't do this around kids, but if you had kids in the area, having it like this is a little bit better. Also, both of this and the Cricut AutoPress, the temperature turns off. And then Caesar has one, and Craft Express has the open arm one too. So I think we are out of time to be able to show you the convection oven. But basically, the convection oven, when you turn it on, it will start heating up to 375 degrees. Once it's heated up, it will beep at me, and then I could put my pen in there, and I just leave it sitting in there for 5 minutes, 375 for 5 minutes, and it will come out with these great designs on it. So let's look at this. And again, I think if you're doing a craft fair, you could absolutely take this with you and do custom orders. So take your heat with you and take your printer with you and do custom orders. And here we go for Linda. So one thing I didn't mention, and I should have, when your item comes out of your printer, the color of it might look very dull, and you're thinking like, oh, this isn't going to transfer very pretty. It's super dull. Once you press it, that color and the vibrancy will pop and show up for you. So if it comes off the printer really dull, don't worry. It's going to brighten up when you use the heat settings. So you've got that that in your favor. So just keep that in mind. If it comes off the printer as you start and you're like, oh no, it's too light, I need something more. Do you put any coating over the print once it's done? No, you don't have to. This can go right into the washer, into the dryer, anything like that. The color's not going to fade. And when you feel it, you don't even feel the design on there. It just, it's right on there. Let me just grab, I'm going to grab two things. Shania, I think we have a couple extra minutes if you don't mind. I'm just going to show two little quick things. Let me see if I have it here. Okay. So just to kind of give you an idea of the difference that you can create with the sublimation, and even sublimation printer over sublimated paper, like you can create really cute designs with sublimated paper. Like, so this little guy here was created with infusible ink paper from Cricut, but still I was reliant on the design on the box, like on the paper that I purchased that had the infusible ink on it. So you were kind of like limited to that. And then you can really see the layers of color that you can do with the sublimation. There's just so much more that you can do with your sublimation. I thought I had a couple more examples, but like this is a cute little design that, oh, I know where they are. This is a cute little design, but it's just with vinyl, with iron-on vinyl, and only one color of that. So, you know, I just think you can just do so much more with your sublimation than your vinyl. You purchase most of your items from Amazon. I purchase items, a lot of the make market, if you're getting started, these are great because they're right there at your fingertips. You could do like a one-off. So if you wanted to sell mouse pads, say to the team, like you wanted to take a team, let's say you're the team photographer, you take pictures of all the players, and then you want to put those on a mouse pad or a mug or something like that for a parent. You could have, you know, one as an example, and then people can take orders. And then if you need to, you can quickly go grab more of them, or you can order them. If you're doing a business, you're going to start looking for wholesale, or do like at Michael's where you can buy, you know, instead of buying one, you can buy a dozen and you get them at a discount. So that's a good thing. Could we do more than one pen in the sublimation oven? Absolutely. You can put as much into that sublimation oven that is the temperature. So if I had, let's say I had 20 of these, when I pens ready to go, you have a little tray in here that comes out. So you could take your little tray, line up your pins in your tray, as many as you wanted to get in there. I would say I really wouldn't want them to touch each other. So I might, you know, just use a piece of tape and tape it down and then pop that in the oven. I'm hoping I can get a chance to show you guys how this works because I think the oven is really fun. But again, like once you use the oven, that's your craft oven now. I don't know what I did with, I had another sample of one of these little bags to show you guys, and I don't see it anywhere around me. But couple other things to think about when you're going to markets is doing little things, little custom things. So these are little popsicle holders, and they have their custom. This would be obviously something you'd have in like your summer market, but it has the child's name on it. So if you, let's say you're doing a market at, and you have a local swim team, you could do, let's say they're the sharks. You could do a shark pattern and then put each kid's name on it and sell that to the parents. So the Make It brand works with the Cricut mug press. So the Cricut mug press only holds, any mug press only holds certain sizes of mugs. So it's like a 11 ounce or 12 ounce mug, the 15 ounce mug, and then the stackable mug for the Cricut Easy Press. This was a 12 ounce mug, and I tested it beforehand to make sure it would fit in there. If I were using a larger mug, or if I were using like this little planter, like this planter base thing here, then I put that in the convection. Okay, so you'll notice once I put it in, the numbers are gonna start, it's gonna start counting down. So the make market, the make market brand, they do fit in the Cricut Easy Press, the Craft Express, I'm sorry, the Cricut mug press, the Craft Express mug press, or your sublimation oven. Usually if you're putting something in your sublimation oven, you'd use the sleeve and then just a heat gun to shrink wrap around that. You don't need butcher paper for the oven. That actually might catch on fire, because like I don't know, I've never put butcher paper in the oven, but it might catch on fire. So when you're doing your mug in the mug press, because the mug press is wrapping right around that mug and pressing against the paper, the image released onto the mug also releases both ways. So if it's pressing right against it, you could have the design on the mug press. In the convection oven style, the heat is just going around. You have the air going around. So nothing in the oven is actually touching your mug. So you don't have to worry about transferring any of the images that way. So on the print setting, what does it mean when it gives you the option for flatten? So what flatten does, I'm not exactly sure what you mean, because I don't know if I've seen that in the Sawgrass software, but usually what flatten means is the images are layers of images. So like this name Linda is one layer. The apples might be a layer. The ruler might be a layer. So each part of this image is a layer. When you flatten an image, it basically is taking all those images and compressing it into a single layer. So you just print it as a single layer. But I don't know that I've seen that in the Sawgrass settings. Not to say it's not there. Can you use design space with yes, that is one of the coolest things. Yes, you can use design space with the Sawgrass printer. You can use Photoshop. I use a program called a website called Creative Fabrica. When I need more images, or if I'm looking for something special, I'll go there and I'll find the image. You can resize it in any software and then print it directly from that software. I don't so much like using design space to print to the Sawgrass printer unless I'm going to cut it. So because it puts those, you're limited by the space you can use, and it puts those registration marks on it. So if you're creating if you're going to create a mug, say in Cricut design space, and you're going to cut that mug design out and then apply it on your mug, then I would use design space, but otherwise I wouldn't. But and also check anywhere you get your images from. So if you're working in design space, check the angel policy to make sure that you could then resell that mug. So if you used a designer's design on your mug, you may not be able to legally resell that mug with that design on it. I know any designs I use in Sawgrass, in my Sawgrass, I know all those designs are approved for me to print and make and sell. That's the whole purpose of those designs. You can purchase
Kesley?
a license to, yes.
Sorry, your audio went out for a minute there. So we did not hear what you said the last minute.
Oh, I did. Okay, so the last thing I said was if you can look at Silhouette, and I think you can purchase a license to resell the images that you get from Silhouette. And I'm not sure about Caesar, how those images work off the top of my head. But what my suggestion is, if you're reselling something, make sure you have the copyright permission to resell that item. So if you've gotten an image from somewhere, it's just important that you make sure that you have permission to make something with that image and resell it. Like I recently got an image that did not have a copyright. It was like, you can only use this for personal use, not, I couldn't make it and sell it for something else. So just keep that in mind. All right, can we go over to the overhead one last time and we'll show how this printed out? Yes, you can print from Silhouette software. You can print from your Caesar software. You can print from, if you use Canva for designs, you can print right from Canva as well. I think you have to download and then print it from Canva, but yes, you can do all those. I think I just saw about that question about Canva. I use Canva a lot, but I'm not sure about the using their images for resale. So double check on that. I think you can use their images for resale, but don't quote me on that. All right. So once we get all this unwrapped, and this is where I'm tempted to pull out my little weeding tool and just zip cut down here, but I know I could scratch it, so I don't want to do that. Let me see if I got a little pair of scissors. Okay. So we're just going to put these little scissors in here, keep it within the tape, within the paper. I don't have to worry about it so much. The good thing about the pens are they cool off pretty quickly. There we go. Ah. All right, once we finish off this, we will close off for the day. So if you have any last minute questions I didn't answer, please do let me know. If you haven't gotten into sublimation yet, I highly recommend it. It is so much fun. It's so easy. You don't have to worry. There's so much less to worry about, and it's really so much fun stuff that you can make. One of my favorite things to do has been the Felty air fresheners, adding beads. Those will make great gifts and great little market upsell items. Very fun to make. The mugs and the tumblers. Your mugs and tumblers at a market, everybody's doing tumblers. So if you are going to market and you're going to do tumblers, make sure your designs, are unique. You have the custom feature available. Be able to sell that right in your booth. You could have an iPad with your Sawgrass software up, and people can right there customize it, shop around, and come back and pick it up. So just something to kind of think about as you're getting ready for markets. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. I will have the link to the presentation. I'll give that to Michael's, and they can include that in the description for the program, so you guys can get that link and go back and look at that presentation. I know the pricing is always a question, but there we go. Look how pretty. And you can't really even see where that seam is. And then, so now if you wanted to customize it, you could have added a name to it or anything like that. You can always go back and I guess customize it, add a name with your vinyl if you wanted to. But that's it, guys. That's all you have to do to make your own unique pens. Great upsell item. I would say, make a set of 3, put it in a little plastic sleeve for your local sports names. Go Warhawks, class of 2025, whatever your school logo is, right on the pen. Sell them in a set of 3 for $7.50. Really great marketing for you. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you, Chanel. And I will hopefully see you all next time. We have lots of fun classes coming up in September, some sewing classes, and just lots of fun stuff coming up. So I hope to see you soon.